Hi everyone, this is Koinzell here. So, I have gotten my Itto to C2, and we are going to try out with C2's effect with a triple Jocom, how the energy requirement and the rotation will be like. I actually found a rotation that's very smooth. It's really smooth AF. It's so smooth that you can slide pudding off of it, no joke. And I'll show you guys in the showcase later. And bear in mind for the showcase, my damage, I intentionally lowered my damage so that I can do the rotations. Otherwise, we'll just kill stuff before that. But one thing to note is that this particular effect of C2, where you can reduce the cooldown by up to 4.5 seconds, it means that his burst now has a duration of 18 minus 4.5, 13.5 seconds, which means that you only have a 2.5 seconds downtime. 2.5 seconds downtime is really small. And what this means is that on Gorou's burst, which has a cooldown of 20 seconds, if you want to utilize the 2.5 second downtime or the 4.5 seconds cooldown reduction, there's no way you can use Gorou's burst on the second rotation. It's as simple as that. Timing wise, it's just as a match. You have to wait the full 4.5 reduced cooldown second just to get to use Gorou's burst. So obviously, C2 is going to change your second rotation. You're going to do something different from what I have shared in the C0 and C1. Essentially, you're not going to be using Gorou's burst on the second rotation. But it's not an issue, because the rotation itself is very smooth, and the only restriction is that you need to stay within the AoE of Gorou's elemental skill or the buff itself, which is manageable, definitely manageable. Since you're a melee character, most mobs will come to you. The only issue are range mobs. Right, now with that being the case, let's go on to the showcase itself. I hope I've explained the effect of C2 to his rotation, in particular the reduced cooldown. Okay, so this is the showcase itself. My Itto is actually using a level 1 Redhorn, so as to lower my damage such that I can show you guys how the full 3 rotations will work. It's going to be first rotation you use Gorou's burst, second rotation you don't use Gorou's burst, third rotation you use Gorou's burst. In fact, you don't even use a flat slot on the second rotation. You just don't have the time. 2.5 seconds, right? We just don't have the time. So it doesn't matter even if your flat slot is actually using burst to do the off-field application. Just go, and it's very smooth. I'll show you guys. So this portion is the same, really. Oh, my damage is lower. That's so good. Immediate. Okay, so I hope this is very clear on how smooth the rotation is. Now the only thing was that on the third rotation we had to use our elemental skill to get that little bit of energy before we could use our Itto's burst. It's a bit unfortunate, but like I said, it's because Albedo's proc has a probability. It's a 67% probability to give you 1 energy particle per proc. So if you're unlucky, sometimes it doesn't give you, and you will have to use your Itto's elemental skill to get some energy before you can use your burst. But all in all, it's still alright. We lose a bit of DPS on the elemental skill, but your rotation is very smooth. As you can see, we just keep going. Very nice. Okay, Now let's talk about some additional points to know. No, sorry. Before that, let me just show you guys the stats on my Itto with a level 1 weapon. Okay, so this is the stats. You'll see that the attack is much lower, crit damage is also much lower. ER is still the same because I have not changed any other gear. All the artifacts are the same. The CR is also the same. It's merely because we are using a level 1 Redhorn Stonethresher, as you can see. Level 1. Okay, base attack 44, crit damage 19.2%. Now, although Itto is defense scaling, his defense is added on to his attack during his burst. So the attack still matters in terms of his damage output. Just not as much as defense. Okay, so like I said, it's C2. Now let's talk about some additional points to note with regards to this C2 node rotation. Alright, so these are the additional notes that I want to talk about. One thing to note is that I am using the worst case scenario energy wise. Jovishat and the stronger bosses, they are all worst case scenario in terms to maintaining your rotations. We are up against Artifact Domains or Spiral Abyss, you definitely can get more energy. And the other thing to note is that I'm using a level 1 weapon, which means that our damage is lower. When you have mobs that you can kill fast enough with higher damage, you will definitely get enough energy, which can allow you to in turn lower your ER requirements. But Gorou's cooldown will still be too long for C2 Itto. And the energy requirement lowering, the effect is bigger on Gorou and your flat slot in terms of lowering their ER requirement. Itto's ER requirements, you would still want it to be high if you want to be able to use his bursts. On the second rotation, 2.5 seconds after it ends. Yeah, if you saw it earlier, we did achieve that with a 153 ER. Now, next point. One other scenario to consider if there is a long time between rotations, for example, when you're moving to the next area where the mobs or enemies are, like chambers in the room. Sorry, I shouldn't use the chamber. Rooms in the labyrinth warrior event or Misty Dungeon example. Your Gorou's cooldown. If your Gorou's cooldown will be ready by the time you start another rotation, then you can do the usual pre-C2 rotation, which is what I showed in the guide on how to get 100% burst uptime with C0 and C1. So do check out that video. I'll put it in the top right corner, and I will also do it as an in-video link. I'll add a video link in the description as well. Now, next point. But one thing to note is that if this C2 rotation, where it alternates, Gorou's Q is being used every alternate rotation, if it happens more often than not for you, because it really depends on your setup and your weapon, it wouldn't be too bad to use Monojo, and also, more importantly, your artifacts. So it wouldn't be too bad to use Monojo, since you only get to use Gorou's burst every alternate rotation, right? Then might as well use Monojo. Your Gorou's Q is the whole reason you want a flat slot. And that fourth slot, instead of using a flat slot, you can use someone like Zhongli. And you open up the strongest shield option to yourself, as well as resistance shred, as well as the resonance effect that can work on Albedo, can work on Itto's Ushi, and if you are using Ningguang instead of Albedo, it works on her Jade Curtain as well. So all of this has a very, very nice synergy. Okay. Okay, by the way, his C4 can also buff himself because his CD is so short as C2, right? C2 only has 2.5 seconds cooldown on his burst, or rather downtime. His C4, what it does is that it gives 20% attack and 20% defense to nearby party members, which means it's the entire team including himself for 10 seconds. Which means, i.e., if you have C4, right, what happens is that when you do this C2 rotation, your second rotation, yes, you don't get to use Gorou's burst, but you actually get additional 20% attack and 20% defense from his C4, because it benefits himself. The way his C4 works is that when his burst ends, you get that 20% attack and defense for 10 seconds. If you are able to do it like what I showed in my rotation, immediately after casting, we basically almost matched the downtime. Once the cooldown was ready, we were using our Itto's burst. And when we use that, you are going to have about 7.5 or 7 seconds of his C4 buff working on Itto. So there is some benefit to his C4 for his own DPS as well, not just to the other team members, because of how his C2 works. And one last point, C6 will likely allow you to do so much damage that the energy requirements can be even lower than this, and the reduced cooldown wouldn't matter, but I will need to test it to be sure. But honestly, from C2 to C6, the jump is probably real territory already. I can understand if some people try to save up for C2. I mean, C2 is still doable if you're lucky with your pools and if you have safe enough pools. Take for example, Raiden C2. We all know how important Raiden C2 is. I'm not saying that this C2 is as important as Raiden C2, but I'm just saying that this still falls under the F2P slash Dolphin category. Although C2 is stretching it a bit, but yeah. Okay, so I hope this video has been helpful to you guys, and you see how the interaction of its C2 rotation is like, and how smooth everything can be if you build your energy enough, you build yourself with enough energy. And just to share, right, my damage is still not so bad with enough energy, because we still have 200 plus crit damage, we still have 88 CR, 88% CR. Alright, so thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you guys next video. If you like the content, remember the video and click subscribe for more. Bye.